record. Okay, there we go. Manage participants. Mute all. Boom. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see my slides. You can't see me and you can hear me. Hopefully that's what we've got there. Okay, there we go. We should be all set now. Phew. Okay, so let me get started. So the impact of the COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 pandemic on medical writing. And, let me just recognize the fact here that, we are just one little section of the universe and everyone on the planet is being affected right now. So as we know, but I am gonna focus on our little area of medical writing because that's what I know best. And again, if you have any questions as I'm going through this, I'm not sure how long this presentation will be, probably like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I can answer any questions hopefully at the end. Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about the good news and the other news, not so good news. I'm going to talk about where the current opportunities are, because there are some actually opportunities that have been created because of all this. And I will say, though, that you would think that, oh, it's healthcare, it's medical, that we're writing a ton of stuff about COVID-19, and that is in fact not the case. This is not what's happening. And I'll go into it in a little bit, but I've been a little blindsided by it because I kind of assumed that it would just not really affect us that much. Naively, but it has affected everything, and I'll go into that a little bit, but it's not all bad. All right, and then I'll talk about where the opportunities are likely to be. All right, so first the good news. Some types of work have opened up dramatically. This is a picture of the glass half full, and it's better than a lot of other industries. I will say that, let me see if I was going to cover that. Hold on a second. Yes. Yes, so some types of work have opened up dramatically, and that will be what I'll talk about as current opportunities in a minute. I'll talk about those specifically and hopefully give you some ideas about, where to look for work and that kind of thing as a medical writer. And I will say, and this is my experience, because we have a lot of subcontractor writers on our team, and some of them are MDs, and some of them, as a direct result of this, have actually gone back to work or doing what they do. And I imagine that some of the people that worked in a lab, if they had any connection to, this kind of viral work or, COVID or anything like that, or even to get another postdoc right now, those people that were doing medical writing, some of them have left and, or at least temporarily, have gone to assist with the effort. And God love them for that. And, thank you to all the healthcare professionals, past and future, and who are putting their lives on the line at a time like this. So I just wanted to say thank you to those guys. But it has, even people on projects have been taken off projects because they are like now busy with, in the clinic that they used to work at or whatever. So that creates an opportunity. And then, not that it makes it better if you're like totally slow right now, but we are much, much better off than, restaurants and retail stores and all of those guys. So, I guess that's one way to look at it if you're just going to be grateful, because everybody has a story to tell. I have to remind myself of that sometimes, like those people have it like much harder. And so we should, as an industry, we should consider ourselves lucky. All right, so the not so good news. All right, it's a little quiet right now. Just got to say that, right? Just put that out there. You wouldn't think it would be, but it is. And I will tell you, I'll show you my little, we don't have a little y-axis here with the income, but, this is our daily sales from the end of January. And these peaks, some of these peaks are like, it was a really good day. And then the other peaks are like when we enter in the hours for the week for some of our hourly projects. So that's what these peaks are. But you can see like we were raring, like gangbusters, and even once SARS had come on the scene, SARS-CoV-2 had come on the scene, and it was like, okay. And then right around, I guess it was the middle of last week, the end of last week, it was like poof. And there's some reasons for that. I will say, I can speculate about what those reasons are, but it's interesting. And I've gone, from several, like many emails an hour to where I can't keep up, to like to go an entire hour without an email. I just it's like, I don't know. That's a little weird, but we are experiencing, and I'm being real straight with you and honest because I want to be that way, but it is going to be an encouraging talk after I'm done. So don't get too depressed or anything about this. But we have had some clients, like cancel a presentation we were going to cover, conference we were going to cover, and some of the projects have stalled a little bit, and because they don't know, our clients, have their clients, and their clients are pharma companies, and pharma companies are in a kind of a turmoil a little bit right now, I think, just continuing on with projects. Clients are people too, and they're distracted. Many of the contacts at our clients will be, working at home with their kids around, for which they aren't used to, and dealing with all kinds of other things, maybe even sick, and so we have to take that into account, that they're not going to answer the emails as quickly and start new projects and that kind of thing. And I'm sorry that I actually, I'm doing this more from a freelance perspective, but many of these things apply to a staff medical writing job too. So it's just my habit to talk about freelancing, but if you have any questions, I'm sure I can extrapolate. But many clients, so our clients, right, much bigger than us, right? And they have a business model where they have people internally, and they were on site, now they're at home. But for example, medical communications companies, some of them have office space, and they're paying for that, and they're waiting to hear from their clients. And so it has stalled a little bit, but they have a big payroll to meet. And, I'm glad that we don't, because of our business model. It's really awesome, but, our clients do. And so, let's see. Sorry, let me just find this out. So that will lead, I'm sure, to some of our clients being slow paying. We're seeing evident, they're starting to be a little slow paying, and that's going to be true for all freelancers, because unfortunately, if you have a choice between paying your employees and paying your subcontractors, well, who are you going to pay, right? And I think there's also just a basic fear that businesses have, all businesses, cash is king, and to pay the bills right now, is when you don't really know what's going to happen, is nervous making. Just that in and of itself is enough to make payments delayed. So that's probably coming up if you have a bunch of clients and stuff. Sorry, I am going to get to the good news. But the good news is it's going to be temporary, and I do believe that it's going to be, it's hard to say, and you don't want to get into this whole debate about whether things should be closed down and the economy should be like, is it your health or your economy, and do you have to make that choice and all of that? But I think obviously there's no point in having an economy if we're like dying, right? But and the healthcare system is just overloaded. So I don't know what date we would put on this as far as it being temporary, but I don't think that it's going to be more than like 4 weeks. It's going to be this April is going to really just be not fun, I think, is what my thing is. But I think that it'll get better after that. So it's just going to be a little rough for that period. And if you disagree or have an opinion about that, I would love to hear that in the chat too. This is obviously all my opinion and speculation. I have no idea really about what's going to happen. I mean, I can tell you, I've been in business for 20 years and as a one-person shop for a long time. And I went through 9/11 and I went through 2008. And 9/11, because it was in New York, it kind of impacted the payments a little bit. Like people were slow paying and the nation was devastated. But the 2008 downturn with all the housing market, I barely noticed that in this medical writing business. So, but this I have not seen. So, all right. Yeah, and then the thing that kind of, I was sort of going along and I listened to this webinar and it's by IQVIA. I'll load these slides up onto the resources page at nascentmc.com/resources, along with the audio or the webinar recording. I'll load these slides if you wanted to look at this webinar. It's about the pharma industry and how it's been impacted by COVID-19. And I was sort of multitasking and I was listening, out of one ear, and I heard the pharma companies are all postponing their launches. So if you postpone launches, you postpone medical education programs, you postpone a bunch of other things that that we as an industry work on. So, but the good thing is they're not canceling those launches, but they are postponing them. All right. Okay, so where are now that I've given all the bad, negative stuff, where are the current opportunities? Well, we have online learning, which is crazy. Like can you imagine all the schools have gone to online? I don't know if you all have kids and stuff, but I have a 17-year-old, she's gone completely online. And here's what I think. I think that this pandemic has changed things. Like they're changing them to a new way. So I think there will be much, much more online learning in the future. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But so we've got K through 12. We've got all the universities that used to meet on campus, now meet online. And then also medical schools and nursing schools and all the allied health schools, like all of those, which we know how to create slide decks about medical information, right? That's what we do as medical writers. Those are all in need of, I would think, of like content producers and people that could assist them. So I haven't actually gone out to, reached out to the dean of a medical school and asked about this, but I would imagine if you had connections in the universities or a medical school, you could offer to assist with that effort, because I think they're, some of these professors and they just don't have the, they're like on the fly transitioning to everything online. So how can you help with that? I would think that would be a tremendous opportunity. And then I will mention Udemy. I have a few courses on Udemy, and I can tell that so Udemy, so you put a course on Udemy, right, and you might charge for it, and then you get like a really minuscule percentage of what the Udemy is actually charging for it, and that's fine. It's a platform where it gets a lot of people going to it. It's a great way to like, it's almost like advertising, right? So, but Udemy sometimes I think bundles up courses, and I think they're getting into that space. But I can tell, like, I've got a course on there that is basics of cancer biology, or cancer biology 101, and I've got like a lot of people enrolling in that course. Now, I'm not making much money off of it, but a lot of people are enrolling, and that what that tells me is that the schools are going to resources like Udemy to give their students content to learn from. So if you're of that mindset, if you have a subject area, stick it on Udemy. Now, unfortunately, it takes like 3 months to get any kind of income. And then it's really like you have to have like 30 courses to even make anything reasonable off of it. It's quite, trust me, it's not the best way to get rich, but it is a kind of an indicator of this whole online business. And if we are medical writers, we can write about any science medical topic, right? So I just think that's a huge opportunity. Now, here's another thing to think about: directly COVID-related pharma and research. And these are just some of the companies that are looking for solutions against this pandemic. Thank goodness for them. I think it's amazing. And a really amazing thing is, and this is sort of off topic, but like 15 pharma companies recently came together and opened up their compound databases, which like are pretty, they don't like to do that, I think, but they came together just to try to screen those libraries for compounds that could be effective against SARS-CoV-2. And so that's really awesome. But you would think if you went to the careers page on any of these companies that they are probably going to be hiring, and they're probably going to be hiring communications. Some of the smaller companies, I don't know which ones that I haven't heard of, right? So you go to the media relations person, they might need assistance with that effort in terms of putting out the communications about what they're doing. Just like, it doesn't hurt to ask them, is all I'm saying. They wouldn't know where to find you maybe, but if you went to them and said, look, I can do this, especially, and all of these opportunities I'm mentioning, like definitely, like if you go to the medical school and offer to do some classes or whatever, create some classes, like give them a sample so that you don't seem like, they don't know what to make of you if it's a cold call, right? So give them an actual sample of the type of work you would do, or a strategy, or a plan, add some value. And the same with these, you can maybe just send in your resume and do that. But then also if you reach out to any of these guys, then definitely, how are you going to add value for them? And then this isn't a sales presentation at all, but that we do have this. One thing that you can do is create a resource that's helpful. I don't know that we're going to make our money back on this at all, but it's nice to be able to help in the effort. We've got a lot of medical writers working on this resource center. It's right here if you're interested. And the courses are free, all free right now, and they might stay free. I don't know what's going to happen. I think might be a little altruistic act there, but anyway, so create an asset that could be helpful. Even like if you have a perspective on something, if you have a background, I don't know what it would be. Like, let's say you are a school nurse, or something. I don't know what you would be, but your background combined with what do you think about this pandemic? What do your people in your field need to know? Whatever background you have, like, I know there's a gazillion blogs out there, and you're not going to get rich probably off of a blog, but, just it's time to think outside the box, and anything that you can do to create assets, or like even put out your particular knowledge and expertise at this time, like it's a way of giving back too, right? You don't have to build, you don't have to, try to make a buck off of it. Just put your information out there and see what happens, All right. And here's another really cool thing. I got to take a sip of water. Every medical writing job in the world is remote right now. Now, there's a lot of companies that will only have people on site, but I think after all of this, they will be much more willing to have medical writers work at home, which I think is where they should be, right? Once you've had a taste of working at home, it's very hard to like actually go on site with a staff job. And I think this pandemic has forced companies into being remote. And I think that's actually a really good thing. in terms of, I live here in Atlanta, the traffic, you can't get anywhere in the morning. It's so packed, and all of that has changed. So it's, that's probably one of the big shifts that's going to come out of this, and one of the big benefits. So that's cool. And I just did a LinkedIn search this morning. I typed in medical writer. I set the filter for medical writing jobs in the past 24 hours, and there were over 100 jobs, and they're all going to be remote. Now, I'm not saying they're all like, medical writing's perfect jobs for you, but it would be definitely, something that it's not that quiet out there. There's still people hiring medical writers. And then I think that, here's just a thought, like medical associations need help figuring out remote coverage of their annual meetings. This link here will take you to a list of medical organizations. I don't think that it's all of them, actually. I think there's probably a better list somewhere, but it's a lot of medical organizations. And if you go to them and provide a strategy, so all these, annual conferences that were in person, and now everything's online, and everybody's like reeling about, how do you suddenly cancel a conference that was going to have 10,000 people at it and create an online experience? The people at these organizations like ASCO just canceled their conference. How can you help them with their strategy, and what kind of thing can you do? We have lost business directly that we were going to cover a couple of conferences, not more than a couple, and it was just that they're just not taking place. So that business went, but we've had direct business. We've had at least one client. We had one client the other day. They asked us to turn 7 posters into 6 to 8 slides each for each poster. And I think we charged something like $300 or $400 per poster, so that was nice. And yeah, now it doesn't replace all the business that was lost because the conference is not taking place, but it's definitely there's definitely an adjustment to make, but the business might be there, especially if you reach out for it. All right, future opportunities. Like I said, online learning, I think that it was good, and it's just going to go skyrocketing. I think, I just think it's just really a big opportunity. And if you can, if you do like to create courses, it doesn't take much. I mean, you have to learn Camtasia and be able to, have good lighting, and it's a little bit of a Google search on all those things, but you can totally create, and those are assets that pay over the long term. So it's a really good thing. All right. I think MSL and sales training are going to really be big. I mean, they're already big, obviously, but so MSLs are medical science liaisons, and these are like PhD, MD types that go into doctors' offices or liaise with doctors, and they're kind of more scientist people that can explain the science rather than, they're not salespeople. And the doctors probably like to talk to them better, I don't know, but these MSLs, they're having to revise how they do their job. And I would think, they will probably spend their time creating webinars, and they will need training on this new way of doing business. And so I think that opportunity right now is not going on because everything's stalled that way. But I think going forward, I think there'll be a lot of opportunities in that area, and also for sales training, for the same reasons. Okay. And then I think, especially when it comes to COVID, I think the regulatory writing will be massive. Right now, clinical trials are having a hard time going on, right, because of all the disruption. But that's another thing that's going to rebound. And regulatory writing has always been, kind of a very hot area, busy area, for one of a better word. And I don't particularly enjoy doing that kind of writing, so it's not something that I've ever trained myself to do. But if I was like totally like out of business right now, I would go to this website right here. I should get commission from these guys because I'm always recommending them. But they have a really great e-learning system, you know, for different tracks and everything. And you go to that website and you like put in the time and energy to learn that stuff. I think that there's going to be such a need for regulatory writers going forward that they would like, okay, so people say, well, I would need experience doing that. Well, I think that if you showed that you had taken that and that you were really familiar with all the documents, and you go up to that ICH, and I can't even remember, but it's got the word harmonization in it, you know, learn all those regulations, you know, if you don't die of boredom, you know, but if you enjoy doing that kind of work, then, you know, you will have a lot of opportunities going forward, and they'll be remote probably. All right. And then this is kind of a side thing, but I think a lot of people, like, I think they're getting unhealthy sitting at home after this pandemic. I don't know if it's a long-term thing, but I think there will be kind of health issues and people needing to get back into shape and exercise and weight loss and all of that. And if that's anything that of interest, you know, there needs to be like you could start writing a book now, how to lose the pandemic weight, you know, something like that. That would probably sell really well. And I'm kind of kidding around, but there's definitely there's going to be some health consequences. Maybe some are good, but maybe some not. And so I just think that'll be an area of opportunity going forward. And then, of course, you know, the rebound work. So I expect that, okay, we might be quiet in the next few weeks, but I think that all that work will get made up and then some. It's going to be really good. So that is definitely going to be a future opportunity. All right. And then I just wanted to put some parting words out there. You know, I know it's tough for some of us in this situation, but everyone's in the same boat and we all have a story to tell. And so do our loved ones. And we're all concerned about we're all concerned about everybody, but like our older relatives and stuff like that. So, you know, it's very easy to get fearful and scared and everything like that. But, you know, I think the best way to get out of that, not to be a Pollyanna, but like, is there somebody in your community? We have Nextdoor app that, you know, there's a couple of people in the neighborhood that, you know, our neighbors take meals to them and stuff like that, which is so cool. It's amazing. And it's bringing out the best of people, you know, so that's a good thing. I would say this is just my advice, but don't watch too much media. When this started up, I was like, I've got to watch CNN all the time. And I found that it's just not good. It's not good. So I limit myself to like, I might read a couple of things in the morning and then maybe like click on the news while I'm eating dinner or something like that. And that's it. Because otherwise it'll just overwhelm you. And when you think about it, you know, depending on your situation, right? Everybody's got their own microcosm of or their own world, right? So you can, like, I feel very fortunate. I've got my wonderful husband and my wonderful daughter, and just like the place where I live, and I got a nice neighborhood to walk, and I've got all these positives, as we all do have these positives, and that's my world. I don't have to think about the whole kit and caboodle to, you know, you don't have to think about all the things, but you know, it's still anyway, it's better to focus on your own world and be grateful for what you have. Okay, and then taking care of yourself, obviously sleeping, eating, and exercise, the big three. And yeah, we'll get through it because we'll get through it and we'll be better because of it, I think. All right. Hi, somebody came on, and can you mute your mute your phone? Thank you. All right. Okay. So let me answer some questions if you would like me to. Let me see. I just got to get to the first questions. I hope that I've left you with a little bit of inspiration. I'm interested to hear everybody else's experiences right now too. Okay, let's see. All right, we have, I'm starting out as a new freelancer with close to 13 years of academic and pharmaceutical industry experience. Is this a good time to get into freelance? I mean, it's as good as any. I think it's a little wonky right now. I mean, I would not try to get into it. I would, what I would do if you have academic pharmaceutical industry experience, I don't know if you are working in that industry. I wouldn't like just jump in and try to get clients right now. I would like try to keep your day job and see what freelance work you can get. Um, yeah, yeah. But it's not a bad time to get into freelance. I just think it is, at least for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to be a little weird. And you're going to have probably a hard time getting regular business. Now, the things that I mentioned in this talk, maybe you could try doing that, and you might try it. All right, how to find the very first break into medical writing. I heard it's next to impossible. Well, I mean, it is impossible if you think it is. Let's just put that out there. But you just got to try all the things. Do you have a website, and do you have some samples on there? That's a good start. And then I don't know what your background is, but if you have an academic or medical background, reach out to all your contacts. So website, samples, and reach out to all your contacts. That would be my advice. All right. Stan says he loves Udemy. Yeah, I like Udemy. They're doing really well right now, I'll say that. How does Udemy compare with EBSCO? I don't know. I don't know. If anybody knows the answer to that, please type that in. I'm not sure. Taryn. She has said to the person that asked how to get into medical writing, a very nice response there. So I hope you can read that. And AMWA is invaluable. Yes, AMWA is very good. Definitely check out AMWA. Oh, and she saw that. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. Margaret says, I'm getting chubbier. Me too. That's why I'm not on video. Yes, I'm like, bring on the carbs and the comfort food. And Margaret, I think you're an ER nurse, right? I'm wondering, I'm very interested in, do you get the urge, like anybody with this medical background right now, do you ever get the urge to like join back in with all the healthcare professionals? And I'm just interested in that. Like, what do you think about all that? Lisa says, ICH, International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Let's see. Taryn says, you don't need experience to get into regulatory. There are entry-level roles available. Absolutely. And I've also recently, I don't know how it is now, but like I've seen such a need for also just regular medical writers. Like I've seen ads that say, if you have a PhD or an MD, we'll train you. So that's really cool. All right. Stan says, glad I got a garage gym. I know, but actually doing it's hard. So, okay. Margaret says, can we hear about entry-level reg jobs? All right. Taryn, put that in the chat if you haven't already. Brandon says, regulatory writing is definitely an area I want to try. I don't have a PhD though, but that hasn't been an issue with CME news and other writing work I've been doing. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that really, I mean, people don't care as much if you have a PhD or an MD. It's if you can actually do the work, and if you've shown the initiative of actually training yourself and getting into it, I think it's going to be such a need that you'll just get snapped up. Let's see. Oh my God, you're right about media. I know, right? Emma says, hi, Emma. Agree about the media. Okay, Marissa says, any suggestions for someone with 10 years of homeschooling experience? plus a master's in biomedical science for breaking into K through 12 online learning. Well, let's see. Masters in biomedical. I mean, if there's a way, like all the emails, at least for like my daughter's school, all the emails to the staff are on the website. And I don't know, like you might try, like if you're biomedical sciences and you've been a homeschooler and you know this, that, and the other about it, you could definitely strike up a conversation with some of these, science teachers or whatever topic it is. You can find their email and just reach out and, spend the day doing that and see if you don't have some work by the end of the day. That's what I would do. Let's see. Okay. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading through these. Let me see what anything else could have this info. Good. Yes, feel good. Jennifer says, last night in the UK, people went outside and stood at their windows at 8 p.m. to clap for the NHS. I know. They do that in Spain too. They go out there once a day and just clap. And there's even in my small town and the London Eye and a bunch of British buildings were turned blue. You should be proud to be British. Ah, thank you. Yeah. I'm British from a long time ago, and I'm proud of the Americans over here. I'm not proud of certain factions of society right now, but I'm very proud of the actual American people too, because I think that, especially the healthcare workers, my God, tell you what, I would not want to do that. All right. Somebody says, I tried to get into regulatory medical writing, but was told without experience I need to go in the office for 2 years before I can work from home. Well, that was then, right? This is now. I would try that again and try a different company. Lisa says, I have a steady freelance business and I agree things are slow right now. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. It's a good time to reach out to all contacts, especially present and past clients, and let them know you're available to pitch in. Yes, be easy on that though, because, everybody's slow. And I think that people don't realize it. And you just don't want to be another email that you send. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting a lot of emails like myself about that kind of thing. And, you got to be nice and respond and all that. But it's it's just slow for most people right now. I agree with the remote work. This is from Suzanne. I agree with the remote work experiment that is ongoing. It goes well beyond our industry. It will be hard for employers to enforce in-house seating full time after a successful time working remotely. Right? Yes. I think most people would rather work from home, and if their employer let them, then they would. And it makes so much sense. I wouldn't want to be in the office space industry. Just put it that way. Tara says, I was in the process of reaching out to prospective clients and seeing me right before this hit. It feels less appropriate now. What do you think? I think you have to think really carefully about how you can add value. Specifically, come up with ideas about what you can do. Don't just send an email oh, I do this, this, and this. Think about their specific situation. I think the big thing now is creating I don't know, it's just I don't know what clients you would be looking for, but look on their website, think about what they do and how can you add value. Oh my gosh, got 41 messages. Jeez. I was reading through them that they were going to be over soon, but okay, let me just see. Brandon says, I was supposed to cover ASCO this year, but I see it's been canceled, switched to virtual. Do you think more and more conferences will be having virtual options in the future because of this? I really enjoy traveling to conferences. That's an interesting question. I think the doctors really like actually going to a conference and meeting. I think that's the one time a year when they network, make all these connections. So I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I think there will be definitely more online solutions, online virtual things for sure, which is great because that's webinar slides that you have to create, right? That's the business. Rebecca says, thank you for the ideas. I had not thought of creating content for medical schools. Yeah, definitely. I'll look into this. Do you think we will need to change our pricing on work or hold steady? Well, I'm not a fan of lowering prices. I think you should hold steady. And when it picks up, if you sense that it's gotten busier, then um, time to raise the prices, right? That'll be good. Gleb says, is it possible to do part-time freelancing while being a full-time academic employee? Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And if you have a full-time academic job, I would definitely stick to that right now. That would be a good thing to do. But yeah, that's a great way to get into freelancing. The one thing that you need to be able to do, I think, this is my thought on it, if you're trying to freelance on the side, first of all, you mustn't have a contract that says that you can't, right? So that's important. But then if you are allowed to, then the thing that needs to happen, you need to be able to see your emails that come in from clients during the day. So if you're like a surgeon and you work 8 hours in surgery and you can't see your emails from clients, that's going to be a challenge, right? Because sometimes they need like a relatively quick answer. So just think about that. But academic setting, you probably can, right? I'm sorry if I'm skipping over some of these. I think you're correct about coronavirus opportunity. My state professional organization, this is from Dr. Jill. Is that Dr. Fraser, maybe? Yeah, sorry. I'm stating your name out loud. Sorry about that. My state professional organization is trying to get info out every day, and just emailing, calling, and offering to put together a short presentation or info sheet is well received. Your advice to just offer perspective is good right now. Thank you. All right, Jennifer H says, oh my goodness, sorry. Let's see. Trying to get back to where I was here. Sorry if I'm missing somebody's email. Margaret says, I was thinking about going back, but I'm scared I'll die. I don't blame you. Then says, I'm a family doctor. I'm not going back. Telemedicine is huge. That they've released all the regulations, many of you probably know, that makes telemedicine a much better thing. So that's an interesting development. Maybe we can participate in that, writing communications about that. Emily says, I have a steady freelance business and things suddenly slowed down week before last. It's worrisome, but this info has been helpful and reassuring. Thank you. I hope so. And I'm sure that it's going to be temporary. Like everybody, at least we're in healthcare, right? At least we're not in like the retail, like we don't own Macy's. I don't know what's going to happen to Macy's, right? What's going to happen to that store? And all the restaurants. Jill says, okay, sorry, skip that. Let's see. Lynn says, okay, Rebecca says, I definitely wonder about going back. Have an active state license, but since I'm from a procedure-based specialty, I think it would be harder. Interesting, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to get to be, if you agree with me, let me know. I think it's going to get to be where there's such a shortage of healthcare professionals and everybody's so overwhelmed that even if you are like, I don't know, a plastic surgeon or something like peripheral that isn't emergency room, you're going to be asked to go in there, or there's going to be opportunities to go in there because healthcare, you should fit right in. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it though. Let's see. Yes. Melissa says, I want to be with my people on the front lines, but more than that, I don't want to be exposed due to the lack of PPE. Yep, absolutely. It's yeah. You know what? Here's what I think. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I think if it was the military, they would get the PPE, and the healthcare people aren't being given. I don't know. Maybe but I just think it's ridiculous that there isn't enough PPE. Anyway, there should be, right? There should have been a stockpile, at least. Yes, and Melissa, I know that you have a blog. What's the name of your blog? Because that's cool. I think, yeah, you're writing on critical care. And it is a way to help. Like if you put your information out there and your thoughts out there, people like the perspective. You know, it's a time where, you know, everyone's afraid and fearful, and anybody that has an expertise and a thought about something is kind of what I'm trying to do with medical writing. There's a lot of people that are, you know, it's slow. What do you do? I mean, I don't know, but like, you know, it's good to put out that information and help the other people, you know. But tell me your blog, Melissa, because I want to say it to everybody. Write it in the chat. Melissa's blog on it's healthcare, critical care. All right. Is the medical writing community open to hiring people on visa, or is it common to obtain employee-sponsored visas? I think it's not easy. I think it's, yeah, I don't think it, and especially don't think it's going to be easy for that right now. I would hate to say, sorry. Barbara says, what about PharmDs? Have you seen good opportunities for pharmacists? Well, the retail pharmacies are still open, I think, right? So, and I don't know enough about it, but if anybody is a PharmD and knows about opportunities for pharmacists, I think there's a lady called Blair Thielemeyer. Just type in Blair like any kind of spelling into Google. Thielemeyer. If somebody knows the spelling, please put that in chat. She does a little bit of that. Like she's a PharmD and she knows about alternative careers like that. All right. Margaret says, I'm glad my kid is grown up. Homeschool would have been a disaster. Yes, I know. My daughter's about to turn 17, and you know, maybe she's doing her work, maybe she's playing video games. I don't know what she's doing, but yeah. And I tried homeschooling as a medical writer when she was like 6 years old, and I lasted about 6 months, and I was like, I just can't do this. I can't. Not me. No. Okay, to Marissa, most states have an online K-12 school program. You can reach out to their administration or science teachers. Great, that's cool. Suzanne says, thank you, yes. Got to leave the meeting, no problem. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, the PPE is just a terrible situation. Yes. All right. Melissa's blog is, I started a new blog to get nurse perspectives out there. It's nursevoices.net. Nursevoices.net. Cool. Yeah. And then the original blog is contexthealth.net/blog. Yeah. So start a blog. If you've got spare time, just, you know, put some stuff out there. Yep. PPE. All right, good luck, everybody. I think that's it. I'm going to put this a recording and the slides on the nascentmc.com/resources. All right, thanks. Stay safe. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Bye.